Are you still interested in a solar-powered generator? Because pay special attention.
Have you done?
Welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday morning. Hey Astro, how's it going? Coming to you off a stressful day. Already? On the bright side, it is almost Friday. Or as I'd like to say, Friday Eve, Friday Junior. How's it going, everybody? This is my place of tranquility. Well, I appreciate that. Feel free to hang out, grab some tea, grab some coffee, grab some water. I don't know what time it is there, but I assume it's much later than it is here. Alright folks, we've got plenty of stuff to go over. Some of it is some of meme quality. So maybe we should start with that. This is a banger. When everything else seems so stressful, and all things seem to be going in a much darker direction, we have Don Jr. coming to us as a way of making us laugh. Because if we don't, alright, let's take a listen.
Can't put Joe Biden, can't put Joe Biden in the same room as someone. He might let one rip. Guys, Joe Biden is what stands between us and a nuclear-capable China. Joe Biden is the guy they're going to call at 3 in the morning.
Guy I'm not.
If there's a serious crisis.
Don't worry, guys. I'm not drunk, okay? Joe Biden is the only thing that stands between us and nuclear-capable China.
Is the guy they're going to call at 3 in the morning. If there's a serious crisis with Russia. Can't put Joe Biden in the same room as someone. He might let one rip.
Oh, it's looping.
Guys, Joe Biden is what stands between us and a nuclear-capable China. Joe Biden is the guy they're going to call at 3 in the morning.
Yes, he's the president.
If
yes.
There's a serious crisis with Russia. Can't put Joe Biden in the same.
Oh, they cut it so perfectly that it almost feels like it looped perfectly back in. Yeah. Don Jr. What a sad human being. Very telling on his shelf over there. Looks like, is that a bottle? Is that a bottle of booze? Is that what it is? I need the full clip of this. Oh, the memers of the internet didn't take that long.
He might let one rip. Guys, Joe Biden is what stands between us.
Yeah, this is the actual
and
original
a
video.
Capable
Okay,
China.
This is the original video,
Joe
folks.
Biden is the guy they're going to call at 3 in the morning. If there's a serious crisis. Joe Biden in the same room as someone. He might.
This is a good meme. Whoever took the time to edit this, gold. This is comedy gold. Wow, this ain't Photoshop. No, this is the original video right here. This is the original video right here. Breaking to literally no one's surprise, Don Jr.'s coked up out of his freaking gourd, rambling incoherently about Joe Biden. True. I've got to watch this one more time. This is too funny.
Joe Biden in the same room as someone. He might let one rip. Guys, Joe Biden is what stands between us and a nuclear-capable China. Joe Biden is the guy they're gonna call at 3 in the morning if there's a serious crisis. Joe Biden in the same room as someone.
Okay, that was a good meme. Mind you, these are the same people who criticize Hunter Biden's addiction problems or alcoholism. I'm not sure which one, but either way, it's very rich. That man is unraveling and needs therapy. He needs a lot of things. He is just beyond gone at this point. I just wish I could find... There's a complete video. There's more to this. And Trump would be theirs? Come on, bro. They're neither are good, but yeah, Biden is at least a tiny bit better. Yeah, by like a hair. By a hair. Hey, Surfer McGritty. Hey, Sir Yogi. I'm just saying, with all the bad stuff going on, we need some good memes, alright? We need some good memes. And Don Jr. comes in, providing the gold memes. I hope everyone's good. I hope you're doing alright. I would also like to take a quick second to thank Jormungandr for the offline follow. Hey Thundera, hey EOR Explorers. Whatever happened to the other Trump kid? There was another Trump kid? The other one's Eric Trump, I think, is keeping a low profile. Probably for good reasons, to be quite frank. Probably for good reasons. Eric Trump is who I'm thinking of? Yeah. He's probably laying low for some good reasons. How's Sarah Palin? Sarah who? Attempting to be relevant again by going on... did she go on Fox News and say... She's like laughing it off at the idea that she perhaps have COVID or something? Like, I think the Majority Report did a video on that. Anyone shipping the other Trump kid and the grandchild Biden doesn't remember? What? You mean Brandon? No, not Brandon. It's the other young Trump. The other young Trump kid is... His name starts with a B. I can't remember, to be quite honest, at this point. I don't know what that means. Baron, thank you. Not Brandon, Baron, I'm sorry. Thank you, mister. Yeah, she's another one that's just gone off her rocker. I feel bad for Baron because of his parents and, well, his name. Yeah, it's kind of a irony, isn't it? Brandon is a right-wing slur. No, it's not a slur. It's just another hilarious attempt. Like, I don't understand why the necessity of making up such a big deal about a news reporter who has nothing to do with politics attempting to... That being said, she did try to sideswipe that, and somehow it became so viral that the right wing needed to make an entire brouhaha about it. I mean, just say fuck Joe Biden. I don't think that it's such a big deal to say that. Like, if you don't like Joe Biden, just say so. Right? Wasn't there a whole bunch of songs called Fuck Donald Trump? Wasn't there a whole thing? Like, there was literally a whole bunch of songs called F Donald Trump. Just do that. It's okay. You're free. I don't know, maybe they think that they're like triggering the libs. They're owning the libs. But it's against their religion. It's okay to say F the president, you know that, right? It's okay to say fuck Joe Biden. There's no thought police coming. It's okay. I've legit heard that as an excuse. I don't discount that. It's quite possible. Especially the more hardcore religious people who can't bring themselves to say the word fuck. That's always weird. They're just words. Personal attacks seem to have reached a whole new level after Trump, true. But remember, they respect authority, no cap there. Yeah, true. I'm talking about the grandchild Joe Biden denies, the one his son tried to deny until the paternity test proved it at the White House. What? Are you okay? I have no idea what that even means. Give me back the hardcore religious people that can respect all their children and grandchildren? Nah, fuck that. Hard pass on that. Nope. Anyways, gold memes, good memes, good memes. I have no idea what they're on about, Surfer Girl. They say it because they think the media conceals negative sentiments towards Democrats, so F. Biden was reported as Let's Go Brandon. Right. Yeah, I know where it came from, Kinetic Pause. That's right. They somehow extrapolated what you're saying out of a reporter at a NASCAR thing. One single reporter. Media bias, yeah, that's right. It wasn't like the network made a whole collusion about it. It was one reporter who tried to hide it. Like by, I don't know if it's because she wanted to distract from, you know, the cable news. You're not supposed to curse on cable. So maybe she was trying to do a little swerve. But either way, it was like blown way out of proportion. I can't believe that Americans would say such disrespectful things about their president. Well, that's the cool thing about your ability to say whatever you want about the people in power, right? You should be able to say just the most... You should be able to say whatever you want about a politician. That's my opinion. You can say F Joe Biden. You can say F Donald Trump. You can say F, I don't know, Nancy Pelosi. If they're an elected official and they're in the public office, then you have a right to say whatever you want about them. We would not speak... Yeah, good thing we don't have queens here. We don't have monarchs or queens or kings. No one is above being made fun of in terms of people in power. If you are in power and you're an elected official, then I should be able to say whatever I want. Nah, that's disrespectful. You can say F the squad, but that's disrespectful because that's borderline like that's borderline racist. That's not cool. You can say F the squad. You can say you hate the squad. You can say you don't like them. You can say F whoever you want. But that has a different connotation. That has a different connotation. I respect authority so much so that I Roblox them on January 6th. My whole point is you should be able to criticize anybody in power. And if you don't like them and you want to say F whoever, that's perfectly fine. There's literally nothing wrong with saying F Joe Biden or F Donald Trump or F whoever. They're elected officials. It's okay. Are you okay, you're explorers? I don't know what you're on about, but you're making zero sense over here. Lump them all in. Hey, Chiberican, just say despise bourgeois politics altogether and work with your neighbors in developing a vanguard to lead the proletarian revolution. Well, here's something that I will agree with. There's nothing wrong with developing strong community ties and developing parallel systems by whatever means you think work. If you want to create, I don't know, community gardens to get people together to talk. If you want to join forces with your neighbors and talk about the problems that exist within your community and your state, city, I don't know, get together. If you guys want to set up a network of support where people have each other's backs, that's good. There's nothing wrong with operating parallel to whatever to the current system in place. Besides, what if your ideas work? You gotta show it. What if there is something to the idea of working together and having each other's backs? What if there is something to the idea of building community together? The only thing left we can do is to impact. That's the only thing the left can do. That's the only thing left we can do to impact change. True, just do it yourself. That form of grouping leads to turf wars and nationalism? Not really, not necessarily. If you build community within your purview, it strengthens the bond between you and your community. What if there's something to taking care of your own family? I have no idea what you're talking about. But working in parallel to capitalist system allows structures to continue strengthening and will not cede any power. Or it could prove to people that there's a better way. My official statement on this channel is, damn. There's no links, my friend. So, either one could fall. I should say either one could work. What happens when communities have different goals and objectives? Well, if you're part of a community, it stands to reason that you are all in this together, right? The whole point of being in a group or community is to bond together. Sure, there's going to be differences within people because people are individuals. But overall, moving together in a direction is perfectly fine and doable. Example, USA, Ukraine, and Russia. Well, these aren't really like tight-knit communities, right? We're all kind of isolated in the US, right? The US is a huge place. I have no idea what's going on with Ukraine or Russia, but here in the US we have very, very different modes of operating, and we have very isolated system. We have a very isolating system in place. But nationalism is a community? No, that's not what nationalism means. That is not what nationalism means. Nationalism, broadly speaking, is a fervent idea that your own nation is above all. Right, something like that. It's a fervent belief that your nation is above all. Which is kind of weird, because, like, I don't know. I don't think that you should just fervently believe that your single nation is above all. Because then you start to become blind to the problems that happen within your nation. Football team violence is well known, and that is only one example. Yeah, but that's not... You're talking about, like, sports. It's not... This is... yeah, giant bureaucrat. We live in a society. Okay? Not the same as sports. Not the same as sports at all. When an oppressed and colonized nation pushes a nationalist agenda to lift themselves up. Yeah, but like, I don't know. I just get very, very sus when it comes to nationalism in general. I just don't like the idea that you think that your nation needs to be above all. I mean, there's a difference between like saying that, you know, I just want to, I believe that as a member currently within the system that we operate in, as a member of the United States, as a country, I believe that we should do better. I believe we should do better. I think that there's a myriad of different things that we could be doing right now. That is not saying the same thing as, for example, the America First people. Because I can acknowledge that there are problems. Maybe so. I'd have to see what that would look like. Because I'm always skeptical. I'm always very sus when it comes to nationalism as a whole. Oh, I have been recommended the Jakarta method. I should probably read that. America's almost in civil strife over its own rules and laws. No, it's there's a lot of strife because there's a lot of strife not because of rules and laws. That's for sure. Don't snooze on that one. Yeah, there's a lot of books that I'm supposed to be reading. There's so many books that I'm supposed to be reading. In fact, I first heard of the Jakarta method from Touring News, funny enough. I think they were reading it on stream or something like that. However, there's so much things that I have to read. I'm still working on the 1491. I'm still reading on the 1491 book. Electoral legitimacy. Yeah, but that's not because of our rules and laws. Come to find, a lot of what makes up our electoral legitimacy, and this is true, is the integrity of the people. But that's it. The only thing that's holding up electoral legitimacy is the integrity of the people, the integrity of the electors. We learned that yesterday. There is a potential investigation into Trump campaign officials who attempted to basically shove false electoral votes or false electors in the 2020 election through dubious procedural methods. So we have hit on the fact that societal groupings do not contain all alike. Well, nobody said that. Wait, nobody has said that every single person is going to think the same way. I'm saying that as a group, we can work together to achieve X, Y, or Z. Right? Just because we as individuals think differently or may have different opinions about certain things, that doesn't mean that we can't get together and push towards whatever we want. Like an example would be climate change, right? We can all have different opinions about the color shirts that we like and things like that, but we can also agree that climate change is a massive problem that requires us all to get together and work on it, right? So why should Florida get on with New York? It doesn't necessarily have to. There's already an overall federal government that kind of moves us in a similar direction, right? We all have the same, on paper, the same rights and stuff like that. Florida can't just say, oh, you no longer have access to due process, right? Just because Florida does things differently, and that being said, I don't like it. I don't like some of the directions. I definitely don't like Governor DeSantis. But that doesn't mean that, for example, you can just suspend due process, right? That would just be an example. Just because all states have different rules doesn't mean that overall they don't operate under like some type of federal government. Every person has material needs. The majority of the people are deprived of those needs by capitalist class. Well, the distribution, yes. I wish you made sense. You have hit the point I was trying to get to. There has been cleared and agreed lines where the states can't differ on some major aspects. Yeah, of course. Yeah, what's wrong with that? Like, basically, what you have is a society, and there are individual, like, people. People think differently, and people have different ways of going about things, but at the end of the day, if you ask people what they want on a broader scale, most people want just to be happy, right? They would just want to be happy. They want to have their work mean something and just live their life, right? They want the ability. They want their ability to be free. That's it. One more time for the memes, okay? For those of you that just came in a bit afterwards. This one is the original footage, all right? This one's for the memes.
Joe Biden in the same room as someone, he might let one rip. Guys, Joe Biden is what stands between us and a nuclear-capable China. Joe Biden is the guy they're going to call at 3 in the morning if there's a serious crisis. Joe Biden in the same room as someone, he might.
Good meme. Good meme. Is that a pile of blow? Yeah, that's from, it was edited from, it was edited from a Scarface. No, it's a good meme. The lines must be in the wrong place when individual states differ from settled views as the whole nations. Right, that's why you have kind of like an overview, right? Nah, good meme. This is gold. Gold tier memes, alright? If you don't like it, too bad. Alright, serious topic, folks. Justice Stephen Breyer to retire from Supreme Court, paving way for Biden appointment. Do we want to start taking bets about how this golden opportunity is going to be dropped immediately by the Democratic Party? Do we want to start taking bets on how this open opportunity is going to get immediately dropped? They're going to drop the ball. Justice Stephen Breyer will step down from the Supreme Court at the end of the current term. According to people familiar with this thinking, I think it's already announced by this time. President Joe Biden and Breyer are scheduled to appear together at the White House on Thursday, which is today, as the Supreme Court justice is set to announce his retirement. Breyer is one of the 3 remaining liberal justices, and his decision to retire after more than 27 years on the court allows Biden to appoint a successor that could serve for decades and, in the short term, maintain the current 6-3 split between conservative and liberal justices. At 83, Breyer is the court's oldest member. Liberal activists have urged him for months to retire, while Democrats hold both the House and the Senate. Both the White House and the Senate, a position that could change after the midterms, which they're going to be shellacked, in my opinion. They contend that Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg stayed too long despite her history of health problems and should have stepped down during the Obama administration. Ginsburg's death from cancer at 87 allowed then President Trump to appoint her successor, Amy Coney Barrett, and moving the court further right. An appointment by Biden could keep Breyer's seat on the liberal side of the court for years or decades to come. Biden said in brief remarks to the press on Wednesday that he will leave it to Breyer to formally announce the retirement. So it looks like there's going to be a opening on the Supreme Court, and you can guarantee on the Democratic Party to drop the ball on this one. I mean, it's almost a foregone conclusion. We will see who Biden nominates, but I'm not holding my breath. I'm not too excited. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki had earlier tweeted a statement said that it has always been the decision of any Supreme Court justice if and when they decide to retire and how they want to announce it, and that remains the case today. Yeah, it sounds like they are retiring. Biden promised on the campaign trail to nominate a black woman to the court. In the wake of Breyer's announcement, there was an outpouring of statements calling him to follow through. Wait. Okay. I really don't think that they should just make a statement this way, right? Among likely contenders are U.S. Court Judge Ketanji Brown, Jackson of the Court of Appeals of the District of Columbia, former Breyer law clerk, and Leandra Kruger, a justice on California's Supreme Court. Jackson, a former district court judge in Washington, was nominated by Biden to the U.S. Circuit Court and was confirmed by Senate in mid-June on a 53-44 vote, including 3 Republicans. She succeeded Merrick Garland, who left the appeals court to become Biden's attorney general. You know, there was one name I was interested in because she was actually a public defender. She actually had decades of experience as a public defender, which that would be a good choice. But for the life of me, I forgot her name. Yeah, I'm trying to remember to see what possible names there may be, but I think I saw one that she was a public defender. I like that idea. But I can't remember for the life of me, to be honest. But, you know, never doubt the ability for the Democratic Party to have some kind of potential for a W, and then immediately drop it. Immediately drop the ball. We shall see. Here's good news. Here's actual good news. Lee worked in the New York Public Defender's Office, but the frontrunner Jackson also worked as a public defender in the federal appellate system. Okay, so maybe that's what I'm thinking about. If so, that wouldn't be a bad choice. We'll see. We will see. That being said, I do like the idea of a public defender who's worked quite the amount of time in the federal appellate system to be a justice. They'll make a nomination and McConnell will delay all the hearings all summer long. We should wait until the electorate... Yeah, if that happens... Oof. If that happens without any type of pushback, which, hey, you know what? It could be the case. That's going to be omega triggering, but at this point, you know. That being said, I'm not going to discount the idea of having a public defender as a justice, Supreme Court justice. That would be nice. That would be nice. Good news on the labor front. A group of Amazon workers have met the requirements to hold a union election at a warehouse in Staten Island, New York. A spokesperson for the NLRB confirmed on Wednesday, paving the way for another high-profile labor battle at the online retailer. NLRB spokesperson Kayla Blotto wrote in an email that a group of workers known as the Amazon Labor Union had reached a sufficient showing of interest in order to hold an election supervised by the National Labor Relations Board. The unions must show that they have gathered signatures of support from at least 30% of workers who are eligible to vote. We are jumping for joy, said Chris Smalls, a president of the small group and a former employee at the Staten Island warehouse. We know it's a long battle ahead of us, but to get over this hump, the show of interest, it's definitely historic for us. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. As long as McConnell is not the majority leader. Yep. Amazon Labor Union, which is not affiliated with the U.S. major union, withdrew its petition in November after the NLRB notified them that they had not collected enough signatures. But on Wednesday afternoon, the NLRB told the group they had cleared the hurdle. Yay! That's actually pretty good. That's good. That's very good. That's very good. Amazon spokesperson Kelly Nantel said the company was seeking more information about how the signatures were verified. Of course. Of course. We are skeptical that there are sufficient numbers of legitimate signatures. Our employees have always had the choice of whether or not to join a union. Just as, choices. Like, if they continue to act up, we'll just replace them and fire them over procedural matters. I mean, yes, they always have the choice of whether or not to join a union, and as we just saw a few months ago, the vast majority of our team in Staten Island did not support the ALU. Yeah, I'm gonna press exit down on that one. The NLRB will be holding a hearing regarding the upcoming election on February 16. Amazon is facing a growing volley of campaigns to organize its vast workforce. Next month, workers at an Amazon warehouse in Alabama will vote again on whether to join the retail wholesale, the RWDSU. Amazon handedly defeated the union campaign. No, they strong-armed the unionization efforts and completely and illegally did some dubious / ethically questionable, in some cases illegal, activity to discourage or stop or delay the unionization vote. They didn't handily defeat it. They rigged it. But the NLRB called for another vote after finding the company improperly interfered in the first contest. Yep, so get effed, Amazon. I hope both of these votes go through. And I hope both of these warehouses are able to unionize, because that will be huge. That would be huge. That would be huge. I'm always working. That's my secret. Good on these folks. I want to see more of this. Some good news. Should the unionization efforts succeed in the Bessemer warehouse? Alright, that's enough. Jesus Christ. Should the unionization efforts succeed in the Bessemer warehouse and in the Staten Island warehouse? This may trigger a wave of unionization efforts by encouraging people. I think that's a good that's a good sign. I think that's a good sign. Let's turn our attention to Florida man. Yes, this Florida man. Florida radio host cooperates in federal investigation into Representative Matt Gaetz. Uh-oh. The walls just keep closing in. The walls just keep closing in on this guy. Florida radio host Joseph Big Joe Ellicott is cooperating with the U.S. Justice Department's investigation into Republican Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida after pleading guilty in a separate bribery scheme. Ellicott agreed on Monday to plead guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and to distribution of a controlled substance. His plea hearing is scheduled on February 9th in Orlando, according to the case docket. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Florida, which filed a plea agreement with Ellicott, declined to comment on the case. Ellicott's attorney, Joe Zwick, said his client has met with federal investigators to share what he knows about allegations against Gaetz, including sexual contact with a minor, sex trafficking, and obstruction of justice. He was able to shed light on all those issues. Oh boy. Gaetz has denied any wrongdoing and has not been charged with a crime, yet. After nearly a year of false rumors, not a shred of evidence has implicated Congressman Gaetz in a wrongdoing. We remain focused on our work representing Floridians, his office said in a statement on Wednesday. Except, why would there be an investigation, and why would people in your orbit have to take deals up to and including immunity deals if there was no reason to be investigating you in the first place? Thank you for the follow, Raspberry. Appreciate that. If there was no reason and this was just a frivolous investigation, then why are witnesses coming forward either by cooperating or by giving immunity? I found this through the Indigenous tag. Hey, how's it going? Even though Ellicott has spoken with investigators, he has not been called to testify before Florida grand jury hearing evidence in the Gaetz case. Ellicott is the third person in Gaetz' orbit who is known to be cooperating with the federal investigation of the congressman. An ex-girlfriend of Gaetz testified earlier this month before the grand jury, and Joel Greenberg, a former Florida tax official and a one-time close friend of Gaetz, has been cooperating with authorities after pleading guilty to several charges last year, including that he had knowingly solicited and paid a minor for sex. That's where things get not good. According to a filing in federal court in Florida, Ellicott was part of a bribery scheme between an unnamed contractor and an unnamed elected government official. Why are they unnamed? If it's an elected government official, we need to know. We need to know who it is. We should know who it is. Ellicott delivered $6,000 cash from the contractor to the government official in 2017. As part of the scheme, the contractor continued to receive government business and was paid for inflated invoices. Under a cover story concocted by the contractor, the cash given to Ellicott in the kickback scheme was for partial purchase of a business owned by Ellicott. The distribution charge Ellicott has agreed to plead guilty to involves the sale of thousands of dollars worth of Adderall. Nice meme. But in all seriousness, this is a new development in this investigation, and we'll be continuing to track it. It looks like the walls keep getting closed in on this case. It's not looking good. Morning, howdy. It's not looking good. Hey, QAnon. we found the government, the federal government officials you were looking for, allegedly. How's it going, Malkiata? Well, I'm glad you found us, Raspberry. Appreciate that. Quick update to the Texas Synagogue attack. UK police arrest 2 more men. Apparently, there was more people involved in this. UK counterterrorism investigators have been helping the US authorities look into the incident. Malik Faisal, the British national, held 4 people hostage at the congregation in Beth Israel in Colleyville. FBI believes Akram was motivated in part by the desire to see the release of convicted extremist Ayafia Siddiqui. So apparently there's more people involved. I suspect we'll find out more information as this investigation closes. Unicorn Riot doing the Lord's work. Leaked chats reveal fascist group Patriot Front shames members about their prawn and junk food habits. Look at these clowns. Look at these clowns. It shouldn't be a surprise that fascists rule other fascists with an iron fist. I mean, yeah, they're authoritarian. But it's a clear takeaway from the massive leak into internal operations of Patriot Front, a group of white supremacists who swaddle their racism in preppy Americana aesthetic. Their inner workings of the secretive group are laid bare in the release of their chats and planning documents, 400 gigabytes total obtained and published by Unicorn Riot, a left-wing media collective. Many of the group's roughly 220 members are required to regularly log their weight and fitness regimen, encouraged to take an obsessive and almost disordered approach to their diet, provide updates about their bad habits like prawn and junk food. Oh no, this is worse than the Boy Scouts. Hey Alio, how's it going? This is worse than the Boy Scouts. Patriot Front leaders regularly shame their members for not participating in enough chats, skipping meetings, or failing to provide their mandatory fitness updates. Oh, they dress like... Okay, I see. Oh, man. Nice meme. And then there's the financial aspect. Patriot Front members are actually expected to fork out a cover charge to attend their own rallies. They're also expected to engage in regular activism, which entails scattering Patriot Front ProMat posters and stickers around their respective regions. But for the sake of quality control and information security and preferably flow of resources, they're only allowed to use ProMat that's manufactured exclusively by Patriot Front leadership. You know, like authoritarians do. And they must spend hundreds of dollars out of their own pocket. Oh man, that's nice meme. Then they're required to photograph and video their propaganda distribution efforts following strict style guidelines and then upload that documentation as proof. This is a great meme because, like, nothing on the internet or nothing that you think is saved on a phone or anything like that that's digital, you have to assume that somebody at some point can get to it, which it happened. Which it did happen. Patriot Front emerged as a splinter faction of Vanguard America, a neo-Nazi group, in the wake of the Unite the Right rally. Yep, initially Patriot Front resembled its predecessor in terms of Nazi rhetoric and iconography, but in 2018 it had an image makeover, eschewing overt white supremacist reference in favor of red, white, and blue patriotic aesthetics. Its manifesto avoids any explicit reference to race and instead is filled with phrases like pan-European identity. Oh yes, identitarian. Okay, nice meme. No one grifts like right-wingers, true. How's it going, Dimesh? Which forms the basis of our nationhood. What? Why not just say you want like a white ethno-state? Can someone share the link about Gates? Oh, I got you. It's on our Discord too. Let me see. Alright, there you go. Its overall position is that American political system is fundamentally broken and then... okay. But in order to survive as a culture, as a heritage of being, as a way of being... Oh yeah, that's right. So tell me the 14 words without telling me the 14 words. Jesus Christ. Patriot Front's leader, Thomas Rousseau, 24, who usually appears wearing a cowboy hat, previously led the Texas chapter of the Vanguard America. The leaked chats leave little doubt that he's a micromanager and obsessed with maintaining the group's clean optics, seemingly with the goal of broadening their appeal. Yeah, because if people actually found out who they are and what they're about, then they wouldn't be so popular, or they wouldn't be able to recruit people as much. Asterisk, as much. Members of the group are asked to avoid using slurs. Why? Why not? Why not just be yourselves? Why not just be yourselves? I mean, you're already, kind of giving away the game here, right? You're already giving the game away. Just tell us what you really want to say. Members of the groups are asked to avoid using slurs. Why? Is it a problem? Is that like a common thing that happens? Engaging in violence and or discussing firearms violations of these rules can lead to suspension. However, a hot mic moment from an unedited propaganda video is a good reminder that clean optics are just an illusion. The video published by Unicorn Riot showed 4 members of Patriot Front in their uniform of khakis, a navy hoodie, and white gaiters, pulled up over their faces and sunglasses, standing in front of the group's flag. A 5th member sits at the desk, reading aloud the group's manifesto. In case we needed to, in case we had any doubts. I think I remember when group was made fun of all over social media for having an overweight member. I think they got body shamed, and that's why. No, I think this is just about control.
Life, liberty, victory.
Life, liberty, victory!
Wanna check it out?
Damn, son, that
take.
might be a cut.
That's a good take right there.
Sieg fucking high, let's fucking go. I can say that now that it's over.
But we're not Nazis. Hey, look, guys. Look, we're not... Guys. Dude, we're not white supremacists. We just want a... we just want a homeland where... But, man, I forgot the 14 words. Jesus Christ. We're not Nazis. We're a pan-European identitarians, which we believe that forms the basis of our nationhood. Yeah, okay. Fuck out of here. The leaked chats showed that Rousseau constantly haranguing members, at times even publicly chastising them for failing to RSVP. Yeah. This is like, this gives me like the... Have you guys seen how creepy the Trump campaign emails get, where they like constantly, I would say, harass anyone who signed up to the Trump emails. This reminds me of this. Nathan, you've been around for quite some time, but you've not really measured up to the same level of activity as many others. Even others much newer. The point is yet the locals here want to hold you to the same standard. It's like the same thing. Are you a true Trump patriot? When was the last time you donated to our campaign? Anyways, never forget who these people are. Okay? No matter how many cool, nice little words that they try to hide their ideology, no matter how clean their optics may be, no matter how outwardly reasonable it sounds, at the end of the day, this is who they are.
Mears! I want to have my finger. It's over. Mears! I want to have my finger.
This is who they are.
I can say that now that it's over. Mears! I want to have my.
That's who they are. No matter how many rebrandings they go through, under the guise of patriotism, never forget who these people are. And they're quite active. They're very active. Shout out to Unicorn Riot. Very good work. Very, very good work. Oh. There's the video about Sarah Palin that we were talking about earlier. Maybe we'll take a look at it, just for memes. But first, we need to do climate recap, okay? We've been neglecting it for a couple days now.
What have you done? That poor plant. You don't even feel bad, do you? He's like, no, let me get this one next. Stop hurting the plant.
True.
Hey y'all, it's Becky here from the Beckosphere, where we talk about climate news and solutions. You have entered the climate recap, where we look at what is being done to reduce the impacts of, mitigate, and prepare for climate change. If you would like to stay up to date with one of the most important topics facing humanity, I highly suggest you hit that subscribe button below and ring the bell so you are notified every single time I post. This time, we will be covering news from January 1st to 16th, so let's get started. Let's start with things that relate to climate changing. The first one is science organizations like the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, and NASA have confirmed that 2021 was the 6th warmest year on record, and the record goes back to the year 1880. Additionally, the world's oceans hit a new heat record last year. Recording ocean temperature goes back to 1955. A new international study published in Nature Climate Change found that global warming decreases connectivity among coral populations, which is a process fundamental to coral recovery. Warmer waters increase larval mortality and alter dispersal patterns, which can hurt corals' ability to spread warming-resistant genes. And this year isn't starting off great in certain areas, with Buenos Aires, Argentina reaching 106 degrees Fahrenheit and Western Australia reaching 123 degrees Fahrenheit for the second week of January. Granted, this is Australia's summer, but that's still crazy high temperatures. 106 was the second highest temperature.
Yeah, but you know, everything's fine. Everything's good. Nothing to see here, folks.
Recorded in South America in 115 years, and the extreme drought has caused 700,000 people to lose power, increasing risk
100-year heat waves, or heat temperatures, I should say. It's all good. Everything's fine.
Of heat strokes and death. In other climate change news, rapid glacier retreat rates have been observed in West Antarctica, and Malaysia is seeking $3 million from the UN's climate fund to pay for damages caused by deadly flooding they experienced in late December. Okay, now let's move on to climate victories, starting with the international news. England announced it will begin paying farmers taxpayer money to rewild their land as part of the government's push to spur large-scale nature recovery projects. These projects could either be full rewilding or adjusting land management to prioritize wildlife habitats and species recovery. They're starting with bids for 10 to 15 pilot projects, and they're hoping to rewild 10,000 acres in the first 2 years, which is about 10 times the size of Richmond Park in London. Now over to France, starting in March, car advertisements will have to come with a message encouraging consumers to walk, bike, or take public transportation before they use their personal vehicles. This applies to all forms of advertising, and any company that doesn't abide to this rule can be fined up to $56,000. What a cool idea. Meanwhile, the European Court of Human Rights has asked Norway to respond to charges made by activists by April 13th. Environmental activists have been trying to halt new Norwegian drilling projects in the Arctic. They originally tried to go through Norwegian courts several times, but after several defeats, the activists have decided to go to the International Court for support. The European Court of Human Rights picked up the impact case, which means that the results of the case could impact more than just Norway. Activists claim to the court that the drilling breaches fundamental freedoms like freedom of right to life and family. The length of time in which the court gave Norway to respond is already unprecedented, as previous rulings by the court have taken an average of 6 years. And I'll keep you posted on the case. In other Nordic news, the Nordic investment bank SEB predicts that the energy crisis will spur a global increase in clean energy investments by 25%, exceeding $400 billion by 2022. In 2022. We are in 2022. Isn't that weird? I'm still not used to it. Anyways, now over to the US, 6 solar plants are expected to cover coal mines in Virginia. This is part of a larger project by the Nature Conservancy to provide economic opportunities and energy security to coal communities in Appalachia, as well as give use to these waste sites. The Nature Conservancy purchased those sites in 2019. Cleanup is currently underway in those 6 locations. In Idaho, Idaho Power, the monopoly utility company for the state, announced that it will phase out coal power by 2028 on their way to become reliant on only clean energy by 2045. Idaho Power owns 3 coal-fired plants, and funny enough, none of them are actually in Idaho. Rather, one is in Oregon, one is in Nevada.
Depends on what they mean by clean. We'll see about that.
And the other's in Wyoming. Speaking of coal, it's been reported that a coal plant called Granttown has lost an essential deal meant to keep them afloat. The Public Service Commission of West Virginia rejected a proposal by the Granttown Power Plant to buy a power purchase contract with the subsidiary utility giant First Energy to be the main energy supplier for a cryptocurrency mine. Without this deal, Granttown could die. And this is important because in 2020, almost all of the coal provided by West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin's family's coal company, Ender Systems, went to Granttown. Manchin earned $500,000 from Ender Systems in 2020, which supposedly went to a blind trust that's managed by his son. Many people point to his ties in coal as the reason why he won't back the President Biden's Build Back Better Act. So what happens if his coal money dries up? Another interesting development along this vein is that coal miners in West Virginia have actually come out in support of the act, forcing Manchin to choose between interests of coal miners and coal owners. Though I have a feeling which one he cares more about. The next climate victory takes us to Texas, which...
He won't. Like, I'm sorry, but like, there's just no reason to believe that I think that he's going to change his mind in any way, shape, or form. Some people consider natural gas and nuclear to be cleaner green, right, which is why I'm asking, what do they mean by that?
Just passed the strictest flood disclosure law in the country. It applies specifically to rental properties and came into effect January 1st. It requires landlords to disclose flood history of a rental unit and if the property has significant risk of flooding. The law allows tenants to break a lease if they were not provided adequate flooding information prior to signing the agreement. Texas joins only 5 other states who have any flood disclosure laws. And here are some other climate victory headlines reported between January 1st and 16th that I thought were interesting, but I obviously can't allow elaborate on everything. I will share my favorite climate victory point at the end of this video, so make sure that you watch until then. But for US news, more than half of states plan to seek oil well cleanup funds this year. Candidates in Massachusetts' governor's race are running on climate. HydroStore secured $250 million from Goldman Sachs amid rising investor interest in long-duration storage. Gavin Newsom released a new budget for California, and it has billions to fight climate change. The government aims to double cover crops to fight climate change. New York could make history with a Fashion Sustainability Act, which is now up for debate in the New York Senate and Assembly committees now. The government moves to restrict oil leasing in Alaska. The EPA finally is cracking down on dangerous coal ash storage ponds. The White House is working to protect science from political meddling. The Interior is holding an auction for offshore wind in New York and New Jersey. IKEA bought land damaged by a hurricane in Florida to plant forests. The Energy Department plans to announce the first 1,000 Clean Energy Corps hires to work on climate change projects. And the roofing company GAF is working to beat Tesla in the integrated solar roof industry. And internationally, companies are playing with the idea of wind-powered cargo ships. Some say adding sails could reduce ship fuel consumption by 20%. The shipping company Maersk has sped up its decarbonization timeline to be net zero by 2040. Cornwall could become the UK's electric car battery hub after discovering that lithium carbonate can be produced from mica in granite rock. Taiwan's largest pension fund plans to issue Asia's first climate change stock mandate worth $2.3 billion. Canadian courts approved a settlement agreement to resolve class action litigation related to safe drinking water in First Nations communities. A new type of heat pump system launched in the Netherlands might make it easier for people to switch to an electric method of heating water. France began its new ban on plastic wrap for certain types of fruits and vegetables, mainly the ones that have natural covers like oranges. Companies are coming up with new ways to decrease how many microplastic fibers end up in the ocean from washing machines. About 700,000 strands of microfiber shed from your clothes every wash, representing about 86% of the microplastics collected in seawater by Ocean Race Europe. Delicate is actually the worst setting for this, by the way. A new study found that rich nations could see a double climate dividend by switching to plant-based foods because it decreases their carbon footprints and increases land available for carbon uptake. The Romanian government is pushing to add climate change education in schools. The UK government is being sued by Client Earth and Friends for the Earth for their pie in the sky net zero climate strategy. And the Czech Republic announced that they are going to phase out coal by 2033 and boost their nuclear power capabilities. I feel like 2033 is pretty late, but I mean, it's something, and honestly, it's more than some other countries, as we will see in a sec. Check out the links to these stories in the source list, which is linked below.
Hey,
now
Androma,
here's a
how's
few
it going?
stories that I can't decide if they're climate victories or fails. The first one is that Germany announced it's shutting down half of its remaining 6 nuclear power plants, claiming it's part of the country's move towards net zero emissions. Determining if this is a climate victory or fail really depends on where you fall on nuclear. In my opinion, it's closer to a fail because nuclear power is a good source for clean, consistent power, and by shutting them off, Germany will become more resilient on fossil fuels. It frustrates me when countries...
It just depends too. Hey, Sound of Hope, how's it going? It just depends too, because like I heard that a lot of these European countries are foregoing their already built nuclear power plants for coal power plants, which is going in the complete opposite direction. And like, again, all of these things that she's talking about, are all dependent on whether or not we can deploy them quickly and have a political will to do it, which is, well, but we've got to take whatever W's we can.
are faster to shut down nuclear plants than they are to shut down fossil fuel power plants because the optics are just better, I guess, but it's just like, ugh. That being said, Germany is still committed to stop burning coal by 2030. Another topic that's both a victory and a fail is that the S&P Global just purchased the climate modeling company, The Climate Service. On one hand, it's a good thing because big financial firms are beginning to incorporate climate risk in their assessments, but it's bad because the data collected by these climate modeling companies stop becoming publicly available when they're purchased like this. Over in Indonesia, the country announced that it would...
I think that's objectively bad. That's objectively bad. This is like the scenario where ExxonMobil, for example, is doing their own research and hid that from the public for decades, right? I mean, yeah, no, I think that's objectively bad.
stop exporting coal, which is great. It later decided to release 22 more ships of coal, justifying it with the energy crisis, which is a little bit of a fail. And then in Florida, an African-American community is being ignored after twice blocking the development of a utility-scale solar farm slated to be built next to them. This is an example of an unjust expansion of clean energy. We should never stoop to this level during the transition. And we continue to look at the solar industry in Florida as we start off our full climate fail list. Florida just passed a new bill that limits the ability for homeowners and businesses to offset the cost of rooftop solar installations by selling back power to the company, a process called net metering. Without this money back incentive, this could heavily discourage people from putting solar panels on their homes. This bill was supported by utility companies who'd allegedly profit from consumer reliability on utility scale solar instead. Zooming out a little bit, the U.S. Government Accountability Office has requested the Department of Energy takes a second look at how they're giving money for carbon capture and storage projects.
-20 Celsius,
so far, the DOE has invested $1.1 billion in 11 CCS projects that have ultimately failed. 8 of these projects were connected to unbuilt coal power plants, 7 of which never ended up getting built. That's right, the DOE spent millions of dollars in developing new coal plants with carbon capture connected. The projects didn't continue because coal isn't an economically viable form of energy generation, despite what it looks like right now. Actually, the world's sole CCS project connected to a large power plant, which is located in Saskatchewan, Canada.
Yes.
Sorry.
So, more evidence seems to be pointing in the direction that, like, fossil fuels are just not viable. They're just not viable anymore. They're a dead industry that's being propped up by government subsidies.
Caught 43% less CO2 this year than last year after problems with the CO2 compressor motor forced it to be shut down for a few months. Sask Power insists that they've solved the problem, but environmental activists who are not a fan of CCS cite this as a reason why we should not invest so much in the coal-related CCS projects. Now over to Europe, the EU has stalled voting on a draft proposal to consider nuclear energy and natural gas green forms of energy generation to invest in. Funny enough, Germany has actually said they wouldn't support it because they don't consider nuclear clean. That's right, not natural gas. That's not the problem. The nuclear is part of the problem. Like, what is happening right now? Natural gas is not a clean form of energy generation, especially with many plants having methane leaking problems.
True.
Methane is a more potent form of greenhouse gas than CO2. So, like, we should not consider natural gas to be clean.
It's not.
I hope that it doesn't go through because of that. At least they're not firing up a new coal plant like China just did, though. This is China's largest coal plant yet, producing 1,000 megawatts of power. The country has said that it won't start phasing down coal power until 2025. And continuing the topic of coal, Brazil announced it's extending its coal use and subsidies until 2040, and under the guise of a just transition.
Yeah, like, this is the problem.
Now they're starting to piss me off.
This is the problem with these beautiful words and promises, right? Just transition, clean energy, net zero. Nah.
But honestly, I do think a substantial amount of blame should fall on wealthy countries for this, because developing countries still haven't gotten the promised $100 billion to help them transition. So, like, I'm not surprised that a country like Brazil is going to start acting out like this. But still, it's not an excuse for Brazil's behavior. And here are some other climate fails from January 1st to 16th. There's been a jump in deforestation of the world's most biodiverse savanna that's alarming Brazilian scientists. Late-stage deforestation is enhancing storm trends in coastal West Africa. Seismic tests by Shell Oil have been approved by Southern Africa minister with some rules, even though environmental activists and experts have warned that this will harm the marine mammal populations. A new study found that the U.S. Midwest Corn Belt, which grows 75% of U.S. corn, has lost 35% of its fertile topsoil since European colonization in the 1600s, reducing how much carbon the soil can uptake. And airlines have been flying empty planes called ghost flights to maintain takeoff and landing schedules, even though the number of people flying has dropped during the
This is
pandemic.
wild to me.
Basically, useless emissions.
This is
Finally,
wild
let's
to me.
talk about fossil fuel fails before we reach my favorite climate victory of the 2-week period. The U.S. Department of the Interior has reported that the U.S. has twice as many abandoned oil and gas wells than previously thought, moving the number from 56,000 to 130,000 orphaned wells. These wells can leak methane, so it's really important to make sure that they're properly plugged, which of course many fossil fuel companies have not bothered doing. That was only a fossil fuel fail point though. And now to my favorite climate victory. Kohler Power Group in the US is working on using game theory mathematics to manage microgrids. Game theory is a branch of mathematics dedicated to modeling and predicting how independent agents behave to cooperative or competitive settings. This idea was actually started by Gila Technologies, a 6-year-old startup from Massachusetts that Kohler recently bought. Gila is in charge of 24 microgrids in the US and is using game theory to manage integrated solar, EVs, batteries, fuel cells, backup generators, and other distributed energy resources, or DERs. I think this is super cool because clean energy generation will require
Thank you for
more
the follow,
backflow of
helping each
energy,
other.
like homes giving energy from their solar panels back to utilities. So the grid needs to be more flexible and dynamic than it has been in the past. Plus, it's also good for, like stability, national security, all that good stuff. Gila's method allows distributed energy resources to self-manage how much energy they're taking up or letting down, creating a self-healing grid system. This method is potentially also more scalable than a command and control approach because it doesn't require a centralized control system to work. And that was the news from January 1st to 16th. Please let me know in the comment section below which news point you found the most interesting. Until next time, remember to talk about the climate crisis every single day and to support your local news organizations. Thank you to the people on Patreon who helped me pay for my equipment and the many new subscriptions.
True. If you guys want to check out this channel, cute kitty too.
This from my completely.
Are you sure that's not the Fox News studio?
All right, so Governor Palin, when you see Maher finally come around on COVID-19, does that make you feel glad, or you kind of feel like, oh my gosh, what took you so long?
Did they bring her on
He
to
as
talk
an
about
individual.
Bill Maher?
Fox News is obsessed with Bill. These
Too little too late, because he's done a lot of damage to just truth and the cause of justice. He really has.
What?
But yeah, like you said, welcome to the team. I say welcome to the team too. I guess we'll take him because he does have a voice. This is madness, though. This COVID overreach, overregulation, overreaction. It's a shame that it's become a red and blue issue. I don't know who decided that this was going to be one that was going to be politicized and weaponized.
Yeah, I have no idea who could have possibly done this.
Turned into something that is just something to control the people. Well, that's exactly what it's become, and it's a shame. And I think that somebody like Bill Maher, who finally gets it, I think that's indicative of a lot more people coming along board.
I think you're right. I think there's millions of people who watch Maher and like him and are very relieved he finally said what they've all been thinking. So, Governor, it was all over the news today. You came into New York. You got a big slander trial versus the New York Times for defamation. And right before the trial started,
pause it for a second.
The media said you caught
slander for defamation.
Today, you came into New York. You got a big slander trial versus the New York Times for defamation. And right before the trial started, the media said you caught COVID-19 and all hell broke loose. Is that true? Is that actually what happened?
It is, and of course I can't talk about the case. Blame that on my attorneys. But Jesse, yes, having COVID evidently as of this morning, it being confirmed, and that it is what it is. So the trial's postponed for about a week, but yeah.
I mean,
but I feel totally fine.
You look fine. You feel fine. It seems like you feel fine.
Still absolutely normal. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Too funny. That was a good meme. That was a good meme. I see we're having trouble with definitions. That's okay. This is the same person who couldn't even tell me what communism or socialism is. It's expected. Sarah Palin laugh was concerning. True. Saying taxation is theft, but not liking anarchism puts you in a very... No, it's the same. It's the same, like, NPC dialogue tree. It's literally the same. It's the same NPC dialogue tree. That's not what communism is. Communism is not the public ownership of the means of production. It's the workers themselves are the ones who own the means of production. So, for example, an example of a socialist business model would be a worker co-op, where all the workers who collectively own and split the profits or the money of said business, right? That's socialism. That would be an example of a socialism. That's doing a socialism, okay? If workers own the means of production, like a worker co-op, where they're the ones who have the ownership, that's a socialism. I wonder if they'll engage. It's the same NPC dialogue. Like, the arguments are the same. They're always so boring. Do you believe all workers, regardless of career, should earn the same amount of money? I think that depending on how you set it up, or depending on the firm or federation of firms of worker co-ops, I mean, they may bring in different things, right? They may bring in different amounts of money, and you split that money. In other words, you as a worker should have the ability to reap the fruits of your labor. That's not a hard concept to understand. And how do you ensure there's no corruption in a communist? That's an absolutist statement. We are all human beings. What you can do, just like how you can't limit corruption in a private firm, is you put as many guardrails as you can. That's like such a childish question. It was a good video I wanted to see. Ah, here we are. What's the problem with capitalists deciding the wage? Because usually that involves a lot of extortion. You are not the ones reaping the fruits of your labor. Somebody's dictating to you how things go. You have the worldview of a child. You realize that, right?
Hello, somebody.
Yes, so you choose the job with a better wage. Oh, yeah. So I can go to McDonald's, who pays $10 an hour, or I can go to, the Walmart, who also pays $10 an hour. Oh, wait, no. I can choose to work at, the Burger King, who also pays $10 an hour. Oh, no, wait. I can go to Target. Wait, I can go to Target, who also pays, $10 an hour. No, it's not government subsidies. You're wrong. You're wrong. This is literally capitalism in its works, buddy. You're just so deluded into thinking that it's the government. Good memes.
There's no such thing as climate.
You know, even the term
Oh, we're starting off with gold memes. Right off the first second. Check this out.
There's no such thing as climate.
You know,
there's no such thing as climate.
Black is weird. So
Jordan Peterson joined Joe Rogan for one hell of a ridiculous, absurd, embarrassing, and vapid conversation. Now, I have a couple of clips to share with you here, and this is a perfect example of why I stopped watching Joe Rogan's podcast. As I've discussed before in other videos, I used to watch his show almost religiously. From like 2013 to 2016, I watched practically, if not every...
No, dude, you're living in doublethink. You're literally living in doublethink. This is true capitalism. This is true capitalism. You're living it, buddy.
Every episode, because I would put it on while I was working out, and it was on like 3 times a week, so I'd put on each episode and I'd watch it. But I stopped watching it because of crap like this, because this is what the conversations have turned into. So here's the first clip where Jordan Peterson opens by discussing the climate crisis and his thoughts on this.
Climate change one is a weird one. So
that's because there's no such thing as climate, right? Climate and everything are the same word. And that's what bothers me about the climate change types. It's like, this is something that bothers me about it technically. It's like, well, climate is about everything. So, okay. But your models aren't based on everything.
Climate is based on everything. And listen to me, because I'm Jordan Peterson, and if I continue to speak in very verbose language, and I just fill airtime with very big words, and I kind of make this illusion of intellectualism, then people will listen to me. I mean, how could you not see how climate is everything? And furthermore, how could you not account for all variables and have a perfect model? There's just no way. There's just no way. How decades of climate research with the latest technology and over 14,000 scientists, there's just no way how we could, in any sense of the word, predict where we're going. Because, listen to me, I'm a pseudo-intellectual, and I definitely know what I'm talking about when it comes to climate change. Fucking clown.
Your models are based on
Warming.
a set number of variables.
Yeah.
So that means you've reduced the variables, which are everything, to that set. Well, how did you decide which set of variables to include in the equation if it's about everything? And that's not just...
It's not about everything. Okay, so, dude, you're doing literally the Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson thinks he can derive all the theory of communism by reading the pamphlet. Communism doesn't even drive innovation. That's not really true either. I would say capitalism doesn't drive innovation either. In fact, capitalism stifles innovation because it's not geared towards innovating. It's geared towards profit. It's geared towards making the same regurgitated product with a tiny bit of a tweak and then resell it to you because of their brand name. How do you get the profit? Competition? Wrong. Capitalists don't like competition. He's basically saying you can't account for all variables and have a perfect model. Yeah, dude, exactly. But if you listen to him, and he speaks very big words, he must be an intellectual.
Just a criticism. That's like, if it's about everything, your models aren't right. Because your models do not and cannot model everything.
No one's saying they do.
This is what the podcast has turned into.
No one said that they do. No one said that this is what the models do. They don't take account into everything. They take into account the most crucial of variables when it comes to climate. Good meme. Wait, I have a question. Hold on. I have a question. Do you know what capitalism is? Do you know how the inner workings of an economy and capitalism work? You guess? Wait, if you guess, then does that mean that you kind of don't know? Then why are you... Wait, how do you know that you even like capitalism if you guess that you kind of understand it? And how are you so against the system that you clearly don't understand? How do you dislike a system that you don't even understand? How do you like a system that you don't even understand? No, I'm not saying that you know everything. I'm saying, do you understand what capitalism is, how it works? I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I don't know. Imagine saying, I hate X so much. Okay, well, why do you hate X? Because X. Okay.
Absolutely nothing was said for 50 seconds. There was nothing there. Completely vapid. I will get to the science in a second. But this is what the podcast is now. A couple of people who don't know anything about what they're talking about, just spewing random bullshit for 4 hours.
Hey,
that's
correct
what the podcast is. It is so incredibly embarrassing. And then on top of that, you have the tuxedo, the tie.
Yeah, that was pretty cringy. This is what happens when you pick up talking points, but you want to debate? Yeah, listen. If you want to debate, you've got to know what you're talking about, okay? You got to know what you're fighting for or what you're fighting against. Why should people live with their basic needs taken care of? Wait, this is like asking, are you a human being? Yeah. I tried to watch this video yesterday. I just don't care about Rogan. Neither do I. You mean there's other people other than me? This is not how nature works? I don't have any idea what that has to do with anything. Capitalism isn't how nature works. You know that, right? So why have capitalism? That's not how nature works. What an asinine point. This isn't about Joe Rogan. This is about Jordan Peterson, basically. Heat. How's it going? The reason why I bring this up because nothing triggers me more than climate denial disinformation. Or, sorry, climate disinformation. Nothing triggers me more than a pseudo-intellectual attempting to spread climate misinformation. Just enjoying you in your element. Hey, howdy, howdy, howdy. A free movement of goods, money, people, and the means of production as personal wealth and survival of the fittest. That is not, indeed, how nature works. That is not. That's a man-made construct. Good memes, though.
Why is Jordan Peterson wearing a tuxedo? But
Do you
whatever.
think that other
put
people
that
are your
aside.
basic
That's his
needs, or
own
do you
little
think they have
quirk.
to
He
work
wants
for
wear-
it? I think that you as a society, especially where we are at this point, there are 4 basic things that should be in any kind of society like ours, should be met. 1, food. 2, housing. 3, education. 4, healthcare. That's it. Those are the 4 pillars that then spread out into other things. But if at this point in time, in this era, those 4 things should be the bare minimum. I mean, they're words, but I have no idea who have to work for it. Do you have to work for it? Wait, no. Why? Like, people have this misconception that just because, like, we have robust social safety nets, then it means that people won't work. That's never proven to be the case in an overall broader perspective, or broader setting. Robust social safety nets doesn't equal lazy people. Jesus Christ. So quick to defend a system that would have absolutely no problem with you being homeless. Everyone has a human right of food, healthcare, housing, and education, food, housing, and healthcare.
Wear a tuxedo, whatever. There is nothing in this conversation. This is completely empty. Peterson doesn't know, doesn't understand, is not educated in climate science. And in lieu of that, what a normal person would do is, hey, who are the experts in this field? What is the science saying? Science, a body of research. What is the vast majority of scientists saying about this topic as they are educated in this, have explained it? Okay, if you want to go deeper, let's look deeper into the data, what they have found. But doesn't do that. Just climate is everything, and because it's everything, you don't actually know if it's real. Like, what is he even saying?
He's not saying anything.
This is what I think of when I watch this clip, this meme. A guy with no brain thinking he's big brained. That's what this podcast is for 4 hours. And basically every show at this point, every one of these episodes is this is what the podcast is.
Who here ever wonders if they're missing out on dental benefits in their Medicare plan? Well, you're not alone. But lucky for us, Devoted Health HMO is offering an all-in-one Medicare plan with great dental benefits included. You could be receiving benefits.
No brain thinking they're big brain. There is nothing at all to that conversation. Now, on the science, before I get to the second clip here, just quickly, carbon dioxide over 800,000 years. Again, massive, this is a massive amount of data here, 800,000 years, and you see the massive increase most recently. Now, we go deeper into looking at greenhouse gases generally, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide. This is how the science looked at it. Climate isn't everything. Climate, when it comes to the climate crisis, the science looked at, hey, what is causing this? Oh, these greenhouse gases. Okay, what is causing the increase in these greenhouse gases? Oh, look at that. Human activity is causing it. That's it. Now, obviously, there's a lot more science to it, but that is the basic understanding of why we are, or why the Earth is where it is right now, because of human behavior. Now, looking at this a little more specifically, carbon dioxide enters...
Right. I mean, this is just a simplistic way of viewing the climate crisis or the data, but for all intents and purposes, TLDR, yes, it's basically this. Capitalism is an economic system based on the private ownership and control of the means of production and their operation for profit. That's the closest accurate definition of understanding of what capitalism really is, kind of. On its surface, on paper, that's basically what it is. Working is the important part, the rest is blah blah blah. I have no idea what that even means.
The atmosphere through burning fossil fuels, coal, natural gas, and oil, solid waste, trees, and other biological materials, and also as a result of certain chemical reactions like manufacturing of cement. Carbon dioxide is removed from the atmosphere or sequestered when it is absorbed by plants as part of the biological carbon cycle. When it comes to methane, methane is emitted during the production and transport of coal, natural gas, and oil. Methane emissions also result from livestock and other agricultural practices, land use, and by the decay of organic waste in municipal solid waste landfills. So this is the reality. This is what is going on. Peterson makes it out to be some like theoretical conversation. No, there is actual... Why do we have to explain this in the year 2022? Like, really? This is so absurd. So let me get to the second clip here where they are talking about race.
What did Michael
Prejudice.
Eric Dyson call you? A mean, angry white man?
Mean, yeah, and a mean, angry white man. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not mean at all.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what's dumb about that statement. It's you're not mean at all. It's
I am white. Actually, that's a lie too. I'm kind of tan, and he was actually not black.
If you're tan,
he was
what
sort
the
of
fuck
brown.
am I? Because I'm darker than you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. But neither of us are white.
Well, I'm Italian.
And he was
mostly.
brown, not black.
Well, isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's really
the
weird.
Black and white thing is so strange
Yeah,
because
like
the shades are so
tan and brown.
There's such a spectrum of shades of people. Unless you're talking to someone who is like 100% African.
All right, I don't care. Sorry, I tuned out. I tuned out. The reason why I brought that video up was because, like I said, I get really giga triggered when it comes to like climate misinformation. Anyways, in Finland, a pilot test. We've decided to make housing unconditional, to say, look, you don't need to solve your problems before you get a home. Instead, a home should be a secure foundation to make it easier to solve your problems. Yeah, no kidding. With state, municipal, and NGO backings, flats were bought, new blocks built, and old shelters converted into permanent, comfortable homes, among them the Rikila Homeless Hostel in Helsinki, where Anisam now lives. Housing first early goal was to create 2,500 new homes. It has created 3,500 since its launch of 2008. The number of long-term homeless people in Finland has fallen by more than 35%. Rough sleeping has been all but eradicated in Helsinki, where only one 50-bed night shelter remains and where winter temperatures can get to -20. But Housing First is not just about housing. Services have been crucial. Many long-term homeless people have addictions, mental health issues, medical conditions, and need ongoing care. The support has to be there. Damn. So, like, housing, healthcare, education, training, which is part of education. Damn. Food. Huh. Weird. Oh my god, that's so weird. It's almost like the concepts that I've been talking about actually have a practical application in the real world. Amazing. Huh. In Oregon, where I lived, I just learned that we cannot live in our own RV more than 21 days in a 6-month period on our own land. What? On your own land? Wow. That's wild. You do a good Jordan Peterson impression. Thank you. But materially, the situation is improving for homeless people. The nonprofits still have to depend on privately owned housing, and those landlords don't have to accept homeless people as tenants. So adopting a philosophy is only for showing the tactics. When the tactics to house people aren't enough. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. You have to actually put in the work. And I think that this is a good blueprint. I think this is a good blueprint. I think this is a good blueprint. So in Finland, about those housing, so that they can house people in the states, that part is missing. Yikes. Germany just nationalized private rentals and just took them. That's another option. Yeah, anyways, the TLDR of this is that the stuff that I talk about is not some type of pipe dream. It has real-world applications. I think there could be an argument where either the government does massive buyback programs for all excessive housing, especially like these large investment firms who just buy up blocks of housing and just sit on them, collecting dust, preventing people from owning their own homes. Either creating buyback programs to make sure that you can provide housing, or creating socialized housing in the same way that Finland did. Could be different ways of approaching this issue. Roy 3000, thank you for the follow, I appreciate that. I'm an RV dweller, that's messed up. Jeez, Echo Resto. What? But that's like your home. Okay. That's really bad. That's annoying. Earlier in the pandemic would have been a great time for the government to buy up housing en masse. Lots of corporate landlords were underwater because people couldn't pay rent, but instead the feds launched massive rental assistance programs, which sound good, but are simply an indirect bailout for landlords. Right, especially these large investment firms who just like have so much excess property, like just blocks. Blackwater comes to mind. BlackRock. And then have the audacity to get rental assistance from the government. And lots of landlords still evicted people even though it's legal to do so if you took the Fed money. Yeah.
Strategy. That's the way I'm going.
By the way, you know that you
I don't understand why you would stay home at a point when everyone will get Omicron. Everyone. Okay, you staying home is not going to prevent your friends from getting Omicron because they all have Omicron because everyone is positive for Omicron at this point. So you don't stay home with a cold. You don't stay home when you have like a mild virus. Okay, but somehow this, which now acts like a mild virus post-vaccination.
I don't know, Ben Shapiro.
Yeah. You know what this reminds me of? We went over this yesterday, but you know what this reminds me of? Hold on.
I'm afraid the cancer has spread throughout your entire body. Your heart and lungs are barely performing their functions.
Sure. So you have 2 weeks. So you have 2 weeks left to live, allegedly. Sure, let's say you have 1 week left to live. That's 1 week of labor costs at your hospital for every employee that takes care of you. That's thousands of dollars that could have been spent on bombing Iran.
My master, Ben Shapiro.
If healthcare is a human right, why didn't 18th century slave owners put it in the Constitution?
Simply epic, sir.
Let's say I'm a cannibal, okay? Let's say I want to eat your flesh, okay? If healthcare is a human right, which includes abortion, then logically, cannibalism is also a human right, correct? Let's say I've already consumed your whole family, Mr. Erickson. Hypothetically speaking, what can you do about it?
Own him with logic, my master. Destroy him, Ben, destroy him.
This literally sounds like him.
Omicron because they all have Omicron because everyone is positive for Omicron at this point. So you don't stay home with a cold. You don't stay home when you have like a mild virus. Okay, but
that's literally him. BlackRock is the world's largest asset manager with US trillions, with 10 trillion in assets under management. Yeah, there you go. Would have been a great time to fix, yeah, but nope. That's not what ended up happening, right? Unfortunately. That's not what ended up happening. Yeah, even if that is true that we're all gonna get COVID at some point or Omicron at some point or whatever, it's the mentality behind it, right? The mentality of like, oh, you're sick, get back to work, dude. You should, if you're sick, then that's not an excuse. Give it to everybody. Oh, you have the flu? I guess the whole office is having the flu. Who cares? And this mentality only comes and is only facilitated by the idea that we don't even have paid sick leave or anything like that. And our healthcare is tied to our employers sometimes. We don't even have a universal healthcare system. So get back to work. Anyways, good memes. Folks, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button. It really does help us out, and you get 5 free emotes. So just do us a favor and hit that follow button on your way out, and join us on the Discord. And head on over to the YouTubes really quickly. Smack that red subscribe button. It does help us out, and spread the word far and wide that this is the chillest place to be for news and politics, Monday to Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And join us on Saturdays for Saturday Catterday, about noon Eastern Time. Thank you so much, Heat, for hanging out. Thank you for all the new follows. Thank you for the support. You guys are what makes this go. I appreciate you all joining us here. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya! Yeah, it's not even about giving up. It's about getting back to work. You have a good one, Dustin. It's almost like it's the workers who provide all the value. Almost. It's almost like the reason why everyone's so desperate to make sure people get back to work is because the workers provide the value or something. Just an outgoing thought. Alright folks, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. See ya.